In the realm of spiritual exploration, one concept that has often been misunderstood and misrepresented is the idea of no self, or the pursuit of the egoless state. For many seekers, this notion has become a source of confusion and anxiety, prompting fears of disappearance or annihilation, a belief that, upon awakening, one's sense of identity will dissolve entirely and leave nothing behind. Yet, if we look more deeply and honestly at the journey toward wholeness, a different truth emerges, one that is far less intimidating and far more empowering. Your sense of self is an inherent part of consciousness. From the moment consciousness awakens in physical form, there is a stream of awareness, a core sense of I am that persists not only through the fabric of physical life, but continues beyond it. The pursuit of spiritual wholeness does not eradicate this self. It refines it, liberates it from distortion, and brings it into harmony with the greater intelligence of life. The idea that the self must be obliterated is not only inaccurate but potentially detrimental, creating unnecessary barriers for those hoping to embark on the journey of awakening. The myth of no self as a spiritual endpoint can turn away many reasonable and sincere seekers. When students hear that enlightenment means disappearing into nothingness, it is natural for them to recoil. The instinct for self-preservation is not a flaw. It is an essential part of the fabric of life. Awakening is not about erasing this instinct, but about transforming it, so that the sense of self is no longer wounded, defensive, or rigid. Instead, it becomes whole, balanced, transparent, and responsive rather than reactive. The responsibility of spiritual teachers, then, is to offer pointers that are rooted in reality and clarity, rather than regurgitating outdated or confusing teachings simply for the sake of tradition. While some traditions may use paradox or deliberate confusion as a tool to shake students out of conceptual rigidity, such methods are not always helpful or necessary. In fact, providing clear and accurate understanding saves time and reduces unnecessary suffering. There is no virtue in forcing students to reinvent the wheel when the heart of the teaching can be given plainly. So what truly happens to the sense of self as one moves through the process of awakening, aligning, and balancing? The transformation that unfolds is not a disappearance, but a dissolution of imbalance. The self becomes whole, and this wholeness brings profound changes to the way one experiences life. Firstly, the whole self is no longer wounded or threatened. You cease to be defensive or offensive, no longer needing to guard your identity or attack others to feel secure. Instead, you respond from a place of wisdom, a quiet center that is unshaken by external provocations. There is no sense of inferiority or superiority. The self is not measured against others, but stands on its own, free from comparison and competition. This wholeness-based self is driven not by fear, hatred, or clinging attachment, but by a spacious love. A love that is generous, non-possessive, and free. The desires that arise from this place are expressions of your unique journey, and they are not colored by desperation, scarcity, or compulsion. You may still wish for experiences, achievements, or even material things, but the intensity of wanting is softened by the understanding that you are already whole. Whether or not these desires are fulfilled becomes less important. You are resistance-free and open to the flow of life. Stability replaces instability. The mind's habitual swinging between joy and sadness, exhilaration and depression, love and hatred, passion and boredom loses its grip. Your sense of self becomes stateless. It does not depend on the fluctuating moods or states of the mind. This does not mean you become insensitive or detached. Rather, you stop living on an emotional roller coaster. Emotions arise and subside, but the self remains steady, present, and at ease. The boundaries of mind begin to dissolve. You are no longer overly attached to your country, race, culture, family, achievements, or possessions. This is not forced detachment. It is simply the result of recognizing that your identity is not confined to these labels or associations. At the same time, you do not become irresponsible or indifferent to those who depend on you. The shift is subtle but profound. You care deeply, but without clinging or possessiveness. External validation loses its significance. You no longer need attention, approval, or love from others in order to feel complete. You are content in solitude or companionship, in isolation or community. The self is no longer seeking wholeness outside. It rests in its own fullness and freedom. All prejudices, biases, and limiting beliefs fall away. You may still function in the context of a particular belief system or culture, but you are no longer bound by it. Internally, you are free. You do not hold on to beliefs for security or reassurance. You have your own knowing, but it is flexible and open. There is no longer a need to defend or assert your position. You are comfortable with uncertainty and with the possibility of being wrong. Judgment is replaced by wisdom. Decisions and responses come not from surface-level judgments, but from the deeper intelligence of your inner space. You are free from black and white thinking and allow the wisdom of the moment to guide your actions. Others feel safe in your presence, unjudged and accepted. The me thought, the habitual focus on personal identity, loses its momentum. It no longer pulls you into cycles of protection and self-preservation. Your self is transparent, fluid, and malleable, like water rather than a rigid block of ice. This fluidity is what some traditions refer to as no self. But the reality is that your sense of self is not lost. It is simply liberated from rigidity. The journey to this wholeness-based self often involves a process of dissolution, a shedding of imbalanced or deluded aspects of the ego. This can be fierce, tumultuous, and at times painful. Events may occur that seem negative, but in truth, they are orchestrated to break down rigid structures in the ego and reveal what is whole and true beneath. This is a form of fierce grace, where even chaos and fear become allies in the process of transformation. If you find yourself facing chaos or fear, know that it is part of the process of becoming whole. Fear, in particular, is a powerful fire that burns through rigidity and imbalance. Rather than resisting or trying to escape fear, allow it fully. Its energy will transform you, torching through the illusions and bringing you closer to your true self. In time, you may come to see that fear is simply love in disguise, a force that guides you back to wholeness. The journey is not about losing yourself, it is about reclaiming your true self, free from distortion, defendedness, and suffering. The whole self is eternal, present, and at peace. And as you embrace this journey, you may find that what was once feared becomes a source of profound gratitude, a return to the wholeness that has always been yours.